All right, guys, welcome to our third installment of Crash Course in Logic Pro. We've looked at the loop browser in the first video, and in the second video we started looking at navigation, and we've looked at all kinds of other stuff. So if you haven't seen those, make sure to check them out. This time I want to take a look at the virtual instruments that come in Logic Pro 10 when you purchase it. So that's the main goal, is to get you familiar with the built-in virtual keyboards and drum machines that we have. So when you open it up, you're going to want to create some new tracks. I usually hit this plus button and I type the number 3 or something like that. I always type one more than I actually need. Let me show you why. I'll hit create. The reason why I create one extra is once I have a blank track, if I want more, I just need to do Command D, as in duplicate. You can also duplicate other tracks. If you want another instance of this synthesizer, Command D would duplicate that. Command D is going to duplicate the track. All right, well, I don't really want all these. Let me save one. So I'm just deleting those. Now, in order to get access to the virtual synthesizers and things, we would go over into the inspector area. If you don't see it, you would either hit this little button up here or hit the letter I on your keyboard, and that's going to expose it. Within the inspector, you can do all kinds of stuff. General stuff for the track, like transposing is a big one I go to here. Under the region area, there's extended parameters there that sometimes you'll end up using for different things. You can close these up, give yourself some more room in the track. Also, you can hit the letter I, as in inspector, and reveal it or hide it. So once this is open, this channel strip applies to this track. So if I go and say I want a given synthesizer, then it would turn blue in this area and this synth would pop up. So that's one way to go looking for synth sounds. Here's the other one. If I'm not familiar, let me get rid of this. If I'm not familiar with the synths, or maybe I know I want a certain type of sound, but I want to browse all the different ones, different synths at the same time. Let me show an example. We're going to either hit this button up at the upper left. This is for the library. Or we can hit the letter Y on the keyboard. And it's going to expose this. So let's say I know I want a synth lead. So if I go into synth lead, if I click on this one, it's going to load up retro synth and certain effects, delays, and some different things. Or I'll go to this one. I don't know what this one is. Looks like it's a composite. I didn't expect to encounter this. So this is a new type of track that I don't want to talk about right now, but it basically combines multiple synthesizers in one. This one is the retro synth we'll talk about. This one is a lot of retro synths. There's an ES2. So all of these are synth leads, but they're organized by types here. If you want to go back in this hierarchy, you're going to have to drag this bar to the left, then you can get back to get to the different types of sounds you would want. So those are the two ways to get virtual instruments, either to start with a blank track and to choose it right here in the instrument slot, build it from scratch, or you can go into the library by pressing Y and you can kind of find the sounds you want. All right, so let's delete this track. And now all that's left, these are the synths and the drum machine. These come with Logic. All right, these first 5 or so are pretty old. They've been around in Logic for a long time, and so they look very basic, but still they're pretty usable. EFM1, this kind of emulates an 80s synthesizer like a Yamaha DX7. In order to find the sounds, go into this area up here, and you can find different types of sounds. FM Synthesis was one of the first ones to be touch sensitive. So if you hit the keyboard lightly, then it's a quiet sound. Hit it hard, then it's going to be a loud sound. Incidentally, if you don't have a MIDI keyboard and you want to be able to audition these sounds, just go up under Window and say, please show musical typing, or Command K. And then you can use your typing keyboard like a piano. And it only gives you an octave, but then you can hit X to go up an octave or Z to go down an octave. So just in terms of getting used to the sounds, you can certainly do that. All right, so EFM 1. The ESE is an ensemble synth, so things like strings and brass, pads, you can check those out. ESM is a mono synth, so we're going to expect monophonic things like basses, maybe some synth leads could be used here. ESP is the polyphonic synth, so maybe some polyphonic synth. And you can certainly play with the parameters and stuff, but I usually start with a default or a preset and kind of tweak knobs from there personally. ES1, this was the most complex of the older synths. And here again, all types of different sounds here. For a long time, Filter Bubble was one of my favorite leads. ES2, so far out of the ones I've mentioned, this is the one I definitely use the most. It has some very usable sounds. You can download additional sounds if you just Google ES2 free patches, and they will also explain how to install them. And these just sound great. It's also cool how this little circular thing in the middle turns when you change patches like that. It's pretty cool. There's also a little bit of an Easter egg here. You see this little RND? That stands for random. So let's say we have a synth bass sound, and I kind of like it, but maybe it wasn't exactly what I wanted. What you could do is randomize it by, say, 20-25%, click, and then it would change it just a little bit. You can also randomize 100% and see what you come up with. And if you happen to find something that you like, then in this industry standard software, you can take that patch and you can save it. And I typically put my initials before any new content I add so that I know that it's something I made. All right, so that's the ES2. Before I forget, if you ever want to layer these in recording, you'll see that this letter R, as I go up and down, it kind of gets highlighted. So if I were to start recording, this is the track that would record. But I also have the ability to layer these, so I can have all three of these selected, and if I play, it's going to play all three, and I can record all three, etc. So if you want a huge synth sound that combines a bunch of different synths, you certainly can. There's another, should I show you this? Sure. Shift click. If I right click, there's a way to stack these. Of course, I don't usually do that, and I thought it would be easy. Oh gosh. There we go. Create stack track. So that's going to kind of put them all together into one track. All right, so that's kind of a fun thing. So if you have a percussion section, if you want to combine them, you certainly can. All right, but onward. We talked about the ES2. The Evoc PS. This is a vocoder, meaning Mr. Roboto, meaning you can talk through a synthesizer. It's a little complicated to explain how to use this. It involves this area of side chaining to a source, and then making sure that you have a vocoder patch. I talk through the details in a video. Oh goodness, I closed that window. Just put it, it was just there. There it is, Buchwald vocoder. Scroll down. If you go into YouTube and look for Buchwald vocoder, you should be able to find this. Here it is. Vocoder Logic Pro tutorial, Pete Buchwald. Almost 17,000 views. Awesome. So this talks you through the details of how to use this vocoder, and it's really fun. You can, if you're not much of a singer, you could speak a melody line and rhythm, and then you could use this to play the notes of your melody, and you could have it sing those words. Vocoders are pretty fun. All right, onwards. Now, XS24, it's a sampler. If I were given the challenge of to make one song using only one of these, I would use this because it has everything in it. When it first opens up, it doesn't have a patch. Let me reinstall this so you can see what it looks like. XS24 stereo. This is what it looks like. And when I had Logic back in version 6, it was my first version, I could not figure out how to load up sounds. I tried all kinds of menu things, options, but all you do is go to this area and click and go to factory. You won't have these. These are some samples I purchased of a Hammond organ and some that I made myself. Go under factory and you can find all kinds of content. Go exploring in this world folder. There's all kinds of great samples: African sounds, Asian sounds, European sounds, all kinds of cool stuff. If ever you need strings, make sure I would not recommend the pop strings, but rather go into orchestral, then into the strings. These are some really nice samples. Make sure to explore the different articulations of pizzicato, staccato, as well as legato. All this stuff sounds pretty good. All right, so this is the XS24, all kinds of great sounds. Next one, Retro Synth. This guy's new, and it emulates a lot of old synthesizers, as the name implies. You'll see the face change. This looks like an 80s synthesizer, the Yamaha DX series. I think some of these are supposed to emulate Moog products and other things sonically. So go exploring in these. Make sure to check out sequence elements, things like that. There's some really fun neighborhoods to go exploring in these instruments. Let's try something. Let's try sequence elements, cross waves. I'm playing blind again. I have no idea what that sounds like, but I'm going to trust that it sounds cool. Onward Sculpture. This is an interesting concept. This synth is designed to emulate different materials being the sound source. So nylon, wood, glass, and steel. And then they also programmed different types of articulations. Maybe it's struck with a stick or a mallet. Maybe it's bowed with a violin type bow. So you get all kinds of different sounds, glassy sounds, blown instruments, bowed instruments, motion sequences, all kinds of crazy cool stuff. So take a look and listen to that. Sounds pretty good. Ultrabeat. You could do a whole video on this, but I don't think we will. Here's the instant lesson. So at the top you can go, I would go to a drum kit, choose a drum kit. Let's do Electro House Kit. After you choose that, turn on the sequencer, and the bottom left, this little drop-down menu, the farther down you go, the more complex the factory pattern is. These just kind of elaborate on this initial pattern. So here's what the first pattern sounds like. All right, so if I like that, I can drag this onto the track, drop, then I have it here as MIDI. Then I would turn off the sequencer, and then this is going to play this virtual drum machine. I can close this up, hit spacebar. I can double click on this white part of this. It's going to open up this, and I can edit things if I want. If I want to change things, I can change when and where, what's going on. So I can change as much as I want or as little as I want. Again, if I hit L, it's going to loop it out. I can play it as long as I want. We talked about that last time. Let's move on to the B3. So this is a pretty good emulation of the Hammond B3. And the trick about trying to emulate a Hammond is to make sure that you have a Leslie cabinet emulator. So as you play, make sure to change the speed of this revolving speaker cone. So I'm going to hold a chord. And you can program this to go to your mod wheel on your MIDI controller, to a foot pedal. I have mine going to the foot pedal. So if I do a two-handed chord and hit the pedal, so make sure to take advantage of the Leslie, because that really makes the sound of the Hammond come to life. You can change the microphone types. It's pretty crazy what you can do with this thing. Isn't that awesome? I think, can you move it around? No, you can't really move it around. You can do a little bit here. Anyway, all kinds of edits you can do inside this. You can customize the drawbar settings. These, you can think of these as an EQ, but they're adjusting the harmonic content, so the personality of the sound is being adjusted. All the white ones, these are all octaves of the fundamental. Here's our fundamental. This is an octave below. And this is way too much information, isn't it? All right. So I'll let you fiddle with that on your own time. Let's go to the clavinet. Clavinet with a V in the middle, not clarinet. A clavinet is what Stevie Wonder played on Superstition, and this is Logic's emulation of that. Sounds kind of funky. Again, I'm playing blind. I'm guessing what might sound cool on that. All right, there's one left. This is electric piano. I'm going to double click on this and it opens it up. This has emulations of Rhodes electric pianos and Wurlitzers. Like this suitcase is a Rhodes emulation. The blackface is a Rhodes imitation. I personally prefer the Rhodes. The Wurlitzers sound kind of tinny to me, but some people really like them, so make sure to check them out. All right, so those are pretty good sounding virtual electric pianos as well. All right, well, that is your overview of using all this stuff. I'm trying to think I'm forgetting anything. I probably am, but feel free to email me at pete_buckwald@yahoo.com. That is Pete underscore, whoops, that's a plus, buckwald@yahoo.com. Let me zoom in on that for you. There it is. All right, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave it in the show notes here or go to the blog creative-audio-production.com and leave a comment or question. That's all we got for this time, guys. I hope it was helpful. And your homework this time is to explore these sounds. Specifically, make sure to get into the library. So hit the letter Y and go into, make sure to get into some of these things like the arpeggiators. with chords, and there's all kinds of cool sounds. It's great when you can hit a simple chord and the synth does all the work for you. There's just some really cool sounds in here. All right. We will see you next time, guys. Hope it was helpful.